I was writing the date of the gala. It wasn't playing Scrabble. Hi everybody, I'm Sue Loudon, and I am happy to be here, an associate member of your club. I feel like this is old home week because I've been back so many times. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor because I believe I'm uniquely qualified for this job. I've been in the tourism industry for 30 years. I've been in the tourism industry for 30 years. The number one job of Lieutenant Governor is to be chairman of tourism for the entire state of Nevada. So I'm hoping that you'll consider me when you early vote. I'm sure this group early votes starting May 24th, and I appreciate all that you do for our party.
Okay, the next person is Barry Herr. You're here, Barry. I've seen you, but I don't know who you are. Right here.
Good morning. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, I've got a clogged ear so I can barely hear anything. So. My name is Barry Herr. I'm running for state controller. I am what I consider the best qualified candidate for the Republican primary. I'm a CPA. Controller should be a CPA. I've also got experience in the private sector. I've been a controller, a cost accountant in private industry for domestic and international companies. And before that, I was also in management. I was a store manager for Kinney Shoe Corporation. Does anybody remember Kinney Shoes? Right. I sold shoes. The original Al Bundy. Anyways, my name is Barry Herr. I'm running for state controller for CPA here, and I ask for your vote. Thank you very much.
The next person to speak is Jose. He's running for assembly. I'm sorry, he's a criminal candidate. Should I be speaking?
Well, hello everyone, I'm Jose Padilla. I am running for Congress District 1. It's a district that's supposed to be a safe Democratic district, and I for one am someone that's been tired of seeing the Republican Party be in the defensive, and I think it is time for us to go on the offensive and to make this safe Democratic district into a dangerous one. And so, who better than someone like me? I came from a family, poor family, didn't have any money, and they were able to raise a son like me that was able to be the first to finish high school, go on to Harvard, go to Penn Law School to become a corporate lawyer. I've worked a lot of years. I spent 10 years as a corporate lawyer in the healthcare industry. I know not only the problems, but their solutions. And I think that's what we need to show everyone this election cycle, that we're a party of solutions. Our ideas work. My wife is an immigrant from Russia, and I remember her telling me, we were watching different programs. I was sort of showing her MSNBC, and I was telling her, that's a liberal station. And I was like, here's CNN, that's a liberal one. And I was, in station after station, and then she was like, well, if liberals control most of the media, how do Republicans ever win? And I told her, simply put, because we have better ideas. They can buy all they want, but our ideas, and so that's what I hope to do this year.
Thank you. I'd love to hear more about your story. The last person we have is a sitting judge, and that would be William Potter.
Judge Potter, I'm the incumbent in Department M, and you on your ballots until November. Did you want to hear a story or a joke? Because I got a humdinger for you. The other day, George Bush was walking across his ranch in Texas, and he saw this guy with a long beard and a robe, and he was carrying stone tablets. And he knew who it was, and he ran in. Hey, Moses, stop! And Moses takes off running across the ranch. Finally, George Bush, because he's a jogger, he gets in shape and tracks him down. He says, Moses, stop, you're Moses, aren't you? He turns around and he says, yeah, I'm Moses. And George asked him, well, why wouldn't you stop and talk to me? And Moses said, hey, the last time I wandered through the desert for 4 years. November, folks.
Joe Hardy?
He's got some credentials.
I was just testing, and you guys are paying attention. We have Joe Hardy here, who's running for judge.
So I am Joe Hardy Jr., not Joe Hardy for state senator. I'm related to that guy. I look a little like him. I talk a little like him. But I am not him. I am running for judge. I live right behind here in Madera Canyon. Grew up in Boulder City. I have little magnets. If you haven't gotten one yet, please see me. I know I've given out a lot to you, so if you already have one, my name is Joe Hardy Jr. I'm running for District Court Judge. Thank you for having me.
I was talking to his dad this morning about my insurance situation, and he said he and Joe and Joe's son, Joseph, all went to Disneyland. I always get confused. Disneyland or Disney World? Disney World. And he said they were flying, and the gal at the tickets counter said, okay, I have 3 Josephs. Which one are you? And his dad says, I'm senior. And she figured out who everybody was. But if you've ever seen the 3 of them together, there's no denying what family they're in. All right, our last candidate is Earl. He's running for constable.
It's re-election. Thank you, Lynn, for being. Thank you for making me last. Means I can speak for all. My name is Earl Mitchell. I am your Henderson constable, and I'm running for re-election. I've been in the community almost 40 years, 28 years as a law enforcement officer, all here in Henderson. 21 years in the Navy, active and reserve, and I like that. My son proudly serves as an officer in the United States Navy. I partnership extensively with the community, churches, resource centers, and schools. My motto is professionalism, integrity, and compassion. So Earl Mitchell, Acting Constable. Thank you very much.
You guys keep me on my toes. Maria.
I also see Winesett in the audience as well. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Maria Nascal. I'm running for judge. Oh, thank you. I also wanted to invite you to a party this morning. I will be having a campaign fundraiser on May 13th at 5 p.m. at Tommy Rockers. So I'd like to invite you all to that. I'll be sending out flyers as well in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have one more who just came in, Shan Winesett. So he snuck in. Nice to have you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much. My name is Shan Winesett. I'm running for Family Court Department B. I think I've met several of you multiple times, and I want to apologize because I've met so many new faces, friendly faces, and I can't always recollect the names. If I introduce myself to you and tell you that I'm running for Department B, and you already know who I am, I apologize in advance. I thank you again for the opportunity to be here. I am surprised that I don't see any other of my opponents in Department B, which is strange because there's 7 other opponents in this race. And I'm seeing the only one here, so I would welcome your support and your vote in the primary. Thank you so much. Shannon.
Shane came to the Republican Club Saturday, Sun City Anthem, Republican Club Sun City Anthem, and I was telling him about the St. Jude's event, and he said, I would love to support them. He said, can I bring my son? So I want to be sure Andrea knows that you can bring your son, and we'd love to have you both. Thank you. One of the first times I ever spoke here was I was a fairly new member, and Darrell, who was president at the time, had asked me if I would head up the be campaign director. Well, I didn't know anything about it, and she, obviously she didn't know anything about it, or she would have picked somebody who knew what they were doing. But I kind of learned on the job, and we over the 2 years I did it, I learned, and now Carolyn Von Gortler's doing it. But I do remember the first time I spoke to this group in that capacity, and oddly, Cegavske was here. And I remember talking to everybody. There were a lot more tables than this, and I remember seeing Barbara sitting over there, and she was listening to everything I said, and she was looking at me intently with those blue eyes, and I'm going, wow, she's really listening. But she did not make me feel intimidated. She was really interested, and she cared. So it's my pleasure to, it's not Barbara, but talking. First VP I know, Nikki Dearson.
Given the part video, because last month for our March meeting, we had a candidate forum, and I timed myself, and I tried to get in intros in 30 seconds. And I think I did it. Okay, let me give you a lineup for what we're doing for the next couple of months. Next month, we have another speakers forum on May 27th, and I promise not to speak so fast. Okay. Then for June 24th, we have attorney Bob Massey. On July 22nd, we have Americans for Prosperity, Charles Munoz. August 26th, mark your calendar, we have Congressman Dr. Joe Heck. And September 23rd, we have Congressman Mark Amodei. Okay, so we're going to have a busy summer. So please try to mark those. They're all on the website and in the newsletter. Okay, today's guest speaker is State Senator Barbara Cegavske, who is running for Nevada's Secretary of State. Barbara Cegavske served 6 years in Nevada's Assembly and 12 years in the State Senate. While in the Assembly, she served as Assistant Assembly Minority Whip and Assistant Minority Leader. While serving in the State Senate, she served as Senate Minority Whip and Assistant Senate Minority Leader, along with other chairmanship and committee membership positions. Barbara, along with her husband, successfully owned a 7-Eleven franchise for 13 years. Barbara has been a Nevada resident for 40 years, and together with her husband, they have raised their 2 children here in Las Vegas, who also attended public schools and graduated from Nevada universities. Her commitment to serving our community began while their children were at school and continues to this day. Barbara has stated that if she is elected to the position of Secretary of State, one of her main priorities will be to ensure the integrity of elections. One of her other priorities will be to establish Nevada as the best place to do business. Toward that end, she pledges to encourage the creation of new businesses and jobs by ensuring the cost of doing business here in Nevada is fair, reasonable, and competitive with other states. Here to tell us more about the duties and responsibilities of a Secretary of State and why she is running for it is Senator Barbara Cegavske.
Thank you so much. Every time I see Nikki, I remember that at one of the functions that we had several years ago, I ran in and I realized I had forgotten my mascara. Have you ever done that? Have you ever just gone out and you didn't do your, well, I got in there, I saw Nikki and I said, "Do you have any mascara in there, babe?" She said, "Yes, I have a new one. It's all yours." So I always appreciated that story and thinking of you for saving me. Yes, it's very important to have your mascara on. Right, girls? Right, okay, thanks. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I really, really appreciate the ladies for wearing T-shirts. My gosh, that was just really wonderful to walk in and see my T-shirts on all of the board members, so thank you very much. And have you noticed some of the new design that the ladies were able to incorporate? Land, if you would stand up, she had hers done so that she has a V-neck. And we have somebody else that's cut off the sleeves or rolled up the sleeves, so there's all different types of styles here, so we really appreciate it. Just to let you know, there are more T-shirts over here. We have different sizes and we have yard signs, and I'd appreciate you taking those. The one thing that you have to know about a yard sign, they are very, very good as a visor, a sun visor in your car. You put it in the window, in the front window, and then you put the sun visors down to hold it up, so when you're going shopping at the grocery store, wherever you're parked, you're advertising. So the T-shirts, you're a human billboard, and your car is a moving vehicle, but please take it out of the window while you're driving. I do ask that you do make sure that you do not have it in there while you're driving. But they are really great. They're wonderful, so I appreciate that. One other thing that I will ask, and you can always talk to Martha. I want to introduce Martha Kimball. She's helping with my scheduling and so many other things. I really appreciate her. She's wonderful. If you have not looked at our website, please go to the website. It's www.Cegavske4, Secretary of State, SOS.com. And on there you'll see that names are just increasingly every day. We're getting more and more people that are signing on saying, "I want my name on as a supporter." So here's a form that we'd love to have. We'll pass them out, and if you would put your information on there, we really appreciate it. And then there's also the volunteer sheets over here if you want to make phone calls, if you want to canvass, fundraisers or meet and greets. It's very, very important for those of us running for office that we go to your neighborhoods and to your homes to meet your neighbors, because they don't all come to the lunch, right? You can't get all your neighbors to lunch with you, so you can have us in. And I am very fortunate, I do not have a primary, and so I am looking towards the general, where I just have a Democrat opponent. And so I am working really, really hard, traveling around the state. We spend as much time up north as I do here. So we are going to all the small communities. We've been to every Lincoln Day. How many have been to most of the Lincoln Days? Yes, and they are wonderful. Everyone has been unique. I love the fact there are many places in Nevada you can wear your cowboy boots and your cowgirl hat. So it's very, very, it's really a lot of fun, and there's so many wonderful people across this state. And it is interesting to me because we do have more than just Republicans at some of these events. We actually do have other parties that actually come to the Lincoln Day dinners. So for me, it's wonderful because I get to meet so many different people. You heard a little bit about my resume. Yes, my husband and I have been married for 34 years in January. We have 2 adult sons, and between the 2 of them, they have given us 5 grandkids, which we're really excited. We spent Easter with them, so it was very, very nice. They do live here, and it's wonderful. My husband and I had a small convenience store for 13 years, so I really believe as one of the most critical arenas for the Secretary of State is to make sure that you have somebody that understands business. I knew what it was like to pay taxes, to pay payroll, and to write that check. But more important, I understood every time that they increased a fee or a tax, how that impacted a small business. A 7-Eleven is a small business. Maybe you've heard right now about the margins tax. That is going to be deadly to a business in which I had. We would not be able to operate. We would not be able to continue, because if you do it on my gross income, if that's what you're taxing, and that's what this will do, that will destroy these small businesses. So I urge each and every one of you to vote no on the margins tax. If you have questions, the Chamber has done an excellent job of putting out information on that, and it's very, very important. But why I tell you about being a business owner is you have to have somebody in that Secretary of State's office that understands and knows what it's like to be a business owner in the state of Nevada, that can communicate with the other businesses. It's very, very important to know, when we had our store, we had anywhere from 17 different fees and taxes, depending on where you were. We were resided in the county, but we still had to pay some of the city taxes. You also have to pay state and federal taxes, depending on what you have in your store. So the taxes keep coming, and they're always there, and each time everyone says, oh, it's just a little movement up, it hurts. It really does. It takes it out of the what your profit is and what you can pay your employees. Minimum wage is an issue. When they tell you what you have to pay your employees, I'm sorry, that's wrong. I know what my employees are worth. Everybody has a different worth. Depending on what they're doing at your store. Some have more experience than others. And you mandating to me, telling me how much I have to start everybody at, I think that's wrong for businesses. We have to have the availability to be flexible in what we do. So I disagree with the Democrats on saying that they have to tell me what the minimum wage should be. I think that's wrong. In my tenure in the Assembly and the Senate, I have sat on healthcare, education, finance committee. All but 2 of my sessions I sat on the finance committees. So I understood what we were and where we were going, and why I thought it was very important not to raise taxes. 2003 was probably the most well-known session for taxes being raised, and I was one of the group that voted against that. I didn't believe that it was one of those issues where you have to look at the whole, and we looked at the whole bill, and you look at increasing a budget that you shouldn't be increasing if you're in down times or if you're having hardship. Raising taxes is not the answer. You have to look at where your budget is, where you are, and whether or not you increase for the right reasons. There were groups that got together, and I think everybody's heard about this. There were core groups that would get together and make decisions, and some before the session even started, as to where the budget would
This is when
go
you
or where
started
it
developing
should
your
be.
drinking problem.
And the problem with that is you need to look at what your income is. And then you need to know how much you can spend and what you put away for a rainy day. Those are the issues that I thought as a business person was what I needed to do in order to stay in business. And we were very successful because there were months where we didn't have much income. There were still bills we had to pay, but we didn't have a lot of income. So you have to make sure that you have somebody that understands that. When you look at the filing fees, when we look at business license, those are all issues that are very important to a business, and it does make a difference how much your fees are and what you increase them on a regular basis. Right now, they have what's called the business portal, and that's something that our now U.S. State Senator Dean Heller started with. And Ross Miller has progressed it, and we have to keep that going, and we have to keep improving it. When technology changes, to make sure that you're on that curve and you're up on that uptick, and you make sure that you keep changing and making the changes that are necessary. I went out and started talking to the business license managers across the state, finding out what some of the issues were about the business portal for them, talked to some of the businesses. Everybody wants to be able to go to a one-stop shop. Everybody wants to be able to go in and say, I have to pay, for me, for my business, it's better if I pay quarterly. There's others that can pay yearly. And those are some of the advantages of doing this. You can, they'll check all your fees and all your licensing taxes, everything that you have, which is a great idea. It really is. One of the complaints I had was from the license people. They were not included in any of the discussions coming up to where we were in the last 8 years. They were not included in any funding to do what they were legislated to do. So those are two issues that all they asked is, we just want to be included. We want someone to come and talk to us, let us know what the issues are, and see how we can work together. I had the ability, when I was the chair of Legislative Operations and Elections in the Senate, to talk and work with the clerks and the voter registers across the state. One of the things they told me when they came to me and said, we really want you to run for Secretary of State. You're the only one that has come to us and asked us our opinion. You're willing to work with us on all the legislative bills that came forward and asked us how it would impact us. And there were some things that were high impact, and we had no funding to make sure that they were able to proceed with whatever it was that we had great ideas. Now, the legislature is great in a lot of ways. I love it. I love the process. But we don't always do what's best for the state of Nevada. We don't always do that. You can talk to other legislators that are there. There are things we have a different opinion on. It was great being in the majority. I have to tell you, that was really nice, and I do hope that we get back there. It's not so fun to be in the minority, except if you have a governor who's a Republican that's willing to veto their bill. And we would send a list over to the governor and say, these bills, and he was very good to us. Along those lines. So you have to weigh everything. When people say you're the voice of no or you vote no, I tell them, have you seen the amendments that were added to the bill that you thought was such a great bill? And most people say, no, I didn't know there were any amendments. And some amendments don't even get hearings. And some amendments are just thrown out at the last minute on the floor of the Senate the night that you're supposed to sine die, and an amendment will come. You don't get any debate. It's there, and it'll be added, it'll be in law, and it has an impact. And if you don't debate it, how do you know the effects it'll have? And that's part of some of the problems that we've had in the state, is we will put a bill through without absolutely vetting it to the full extent that we should, and then the consequences come later. And that has happened with several bills, and I've always been very, very blessed that I took the foresight to say, if we don't have hearings on it, I vote no. If there isn't open communication on this, you vote no. And there were a few of us that were able to keep that on. The Secretary of State's office, I really feel, again, business. You have to have somebody that has a business background. I've been here 40 years. I've been all over the state. I've owned property up north for 24 years. We've lived in the home that I have right now for 24. For 40 years, I feel very confident that I understand and know Nevada. I love Nevada. Nevada is a great state. It's wonderful. We also need to make sure that we have somebody that is willing to make sure that each responsibility the Secretary of State has is willing to make sure that they do everything that is expected of them. One of the things that we did one session was we put in that the Secretary of State would sit on Economic Forum. That is a very, very good position for the Secretary of State to be in because they want to make sure that we can create and make sure that people want to come here. Businesses want to come to Nevada. Why would you want to come to Nevada? We want to prove to you why it's a good investment, why you want to come here. We're not the highest tax state. We want to make sure that fees are friendly and competitive with other states, and also nationally. You have to make sure that we're competitive. That's very, very important because they do look at that. Businesses do. There will be some people that will tell me, I didn't look at the fees. I just looked at your tax structure. And so that's one of the issues for us right now is looking at this margins tax. We have businesses that are waiting to come here to see what happens with the margins tax. Before they come, they're not going to come until they see what happens with that. Now we've got, I believe, some really good forces out there opposed to this margins tax, and I really do believe that we will be able to defeat this. I think it's one of those issues. I have not heard how my opponent, she has not responded to that, but I know I am opposed to it. I will not support it, and I will be vocal about that. I wanted to leave some time so that you could ask some questions. I think you're collecting some right now because I want to make sure that you have an opportunity to ask what you think or what you know or what you've heard about that. On my walk piece, on one side it talks about me, it has my history, some of it, and on the other side, and actually it was from this club that I had some of the ladies said to me, and this was before I started anything, would you please explain to us what the Secretary of State office does? I want to know the responsibilities and the duties. And again, I'll tell you, they are a lot. There's not just a few, there's a lot. It's a full-time job, definitely a full-time. The 5 major divisions are the elections, which I think everybody thinks about that, is the elections. Everybody talks about all the things that go on in elections. Is there election fraud? There's so many different things that are brought up on a regular basis for elections. You have commercial recording division, the notary division, the operations and the security divisions. Those are the 5 major, but there's 8. And then you have underneath, there's certifying the candidates and the ballot questions. Register all types of business entities, which I've gone over. So there's a whole host, and I encourage you to take this and look at the website for more information on me. But let's do some questions now, if you have anything that I haven't gone through.
First question. What do you see as your greatest challenge in defeating your opponent, Democrat Kate Marshall?
Okay, how am I going to defeat Kate Marshall? What is the greatest obstacle? Yeah, the challenge actually is money. Money, and I want to thank, I had one of the ladies came up to me during lunch and handed me a check. And every amount, it doesn't matter if it's $5, whatever it is. Signs are $5, the t-shirts are $5. We need to get the name out. That's why it's so important that you're wearing the t-shirts and putting the signs up. It'll be money because Kate Marshall has Harry Reid as her supporter. This is all about, she worked for the AG's office when Frankie Studel Papa was there, and Harry Reid has endorsed her, and he is working hard on her behalf. He has been making phone calls along with some other Democrats to make sure she gets money. And I know she's out there calling because the people I go to that tell her I'm supporting Cegavske tell me that she keeps calling. So she is. But money's going to be the biggest obstacle because we have to be on TV and we have to be on the radio.
Next question. Can you have any impact on the push to change the Electoral College to popular vote in the presidential elections at all?
I don't think anybody here wants it, and even from the legislature, it's one that has not been very popular at all. So I'll leave it at that. I don't think that's anything anybody wants.
We would have Al Gore.
Well, our members wanted to know, so I have
if we
a
went to
question.
that. So just remember.
Voter ID for Nevada ever going to happen so illegals can't vote?
This is a great question, and I'll tell you something that we were able to get done behind the scenes thanks to one of the clerks. We had an issue, you know, the driver's license that came up to make sure that everybody had insurance. Well, there's a lot of misinformation about that, so let me kind of go through that really quick if I can. The original bill that Mo Dennis had was something that I would not support. He knew that. He came to all of us. We said, no, we wouldn't support it. I had a friend in Utah that 8 years ago had passed the legislation. And in that legislation, they had 8 years of experience of where they thought the pitfalls were, what we didn't want to repeat. So we redrafted, and it was incumbent upon the majority leader that he came to all of us as Republicans to ask us our opinion. So we had a lot of meetings and got together on this particular issue. So we got a bill out that was supported, and it was almost identical to Utah's for a few of the issues that they had. So in doing that, people thought that that was an identification card, which they'd be able to vote. There'd be some things that would happen with that. That's not true. It's not. And this is one of the things that James Suttlemeyer did, one of the senators up north, who is really a great guy. He had the foresight to say, not only do I want them to have to, every year, you have to go back. As an illegal, you have to go back every single year with the picture and the information. You have to do it every year. We got our license, so we don't have to do it but every 8 years. Remember, it was 4 years, now it's every 8 years. So I thought that was really great that James got that on. So here's what happened. When I got the call from the clerk, he said, we have an issue. As it stands, the voter ID card, if you mail in an application to vote by mail, the number sequence is the same as the legals. And so we knew we had to get with DMV and we had to get with the Secretary of State and say it has to be changed. We had a few obstacles, I won't go into that. And we had the help of the governor, and DMV, Troy, was really great to work with. We went in and the number is different. So if a clerk gets a voter ID or a mail-in ballot and they see the number automatically says they are not allowed to vote. So if it had gone in the way that it did, we would have had a serious issue. But thanks to this clerk, he was spot on, and we did not catch that. But we were able to make the change, and we were able to make that before it went into law the 1st of January this year. But it is something we are looking at. Illegal voting is definitely an issue.
Definitely. Okay, our very last question is new business incubation. I can't scream. Does the Secretary of State have ways to help advocate the formation of new business incubators?
New business incubators. That's an interesting concept. And with the university, can I ask who asked this question? Oh, okay, Bob Frank. I might know he'd come up with a really good question. All right, so do you want to explain what you're doing at the university, and then I can go from that?
In California,
okay.
They have these new business incubators.
I think you're allowed to talk about California here. I think it's okay. Okay.
And they stimulate a lot of startups as a result of the incubators.
Okay.
But we don't seem to understand that. And the question would be, does the Secretary of State have anything to do with that, or is that strictly the Lieutenant Governor, or who would do new business?
I think that's a combination. I think that's what the Economic Forum, that group, that's all they're doing, is they are trying to promote and think of new ideas. But I'm going to bring this one to them because I like the incubator topics that you talked about.
Okay.
But I do believe that the university system is also involved with the business entity part. So I do think that it's part of it.
The problem is students and professors have lots of good ideas for business startup, but they have difficulty in actually starting the business, so they need help from these incubators.
Okay. Well, I would be one that would be willing to absolutely work with the group as a whole, because that's what the Economic Forum does. They look at all the new ideas, they look at all of that and bring it together. You have the Lieutenant Governor, the Governor, Secretary of State. You have a great group of people together that I think you can pull together to do this. I think it's a great idea, Bob. Thank you. I'm going to keep this one. And we will, I'm sure there's others that are running for other offices that would like this idea. Maybe they've heard it before. I don't know, Sue, if you've heard of that before, the incubators. Yeah, I think it's a great concept and a good idea. Anything else? All right, thank you so much for having me. God bless you and have a great week.
Everyone, thank you so much for being here. We would expect that you will be our next Secretary of State.
Here, here.